I mean, sometimes it's very simple. It could be a week starting on Tuesday where the general vibe is like, I got a choice. I'm going to sit down here and get this thing done that I need to do, or I'm going to not do it. That's what the choice is. Mars is the chooser. And where he sits in the Jekyll and Hyde nature of Gemini, the angel and the devil, the mortal and the immortal twin, you could go for the easy route, or you could go for the difficult route. And Saturn asks you to choose the difficult one. Do the thing that is difficult. By doing the difficult thing, you will succeed. By choosing the easy route, you will not.
Lunatic astrology.
Hey guys, every now and then we hit a week ahead astrology that looks a lot like good things are happening. It's a mostly flow week between July the 13th and the 20th, and we have a love up between the two planets, Mars and Saturn, that allows for hard work paying off. I love that old Thomas Jefferson quote, "It seems the harder I work, the more luck I have." And in some ways, this week brings that to the forefront. It's not that you have to work hard, you will. And anything you put your effort, your drive, your perseverance, and your ambition into will be extremely productive. So we're going to talk about how to use that sky this week ahead, what you might make of it, and how it might work best for you. We're also going to talk a little bit about the world astrology. We have a particularly surprising vibe coming through on the beginning of this week, Monday. Might be feeling it even on Saturday, Sunday. So there's something about that Venus square Uranus, who's at the nodal bendings. That Venus is definitely going to bring a love or money change of direction or surprise. However, I covered a bit of that in the week ahead video last week. I'll just bring the tail end of it into today's video. And welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Lothian. This is Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology, and we are talking about the skies stories. Don't forget, astrology is a predictive tool. It is a map of time, and that's how we're looking at the week. We're looking at the time map and asking how can we best use it. And welcome here to my channel if you are brand new, and that will be some of you folks who tumbled over here from Inspired Evolution with Amrit Sandhu. We had such a great interview, and I'm so glad you joined my channel as a subscriber. I'll be having him on my channel in August, so we'll look forward to that. All right, so let's bring the sky up. Let me show you the picture of what it looks like. Let me dive into what this might mean for the world. Of course, I always cover a bit of world astrology in the beginning. At the very end of this video, my members only will get extra content from me. That's the YouTube members or Patreon members only, where I dive into some of the stories about the geopolitical landscape and this week ahead that I might not cover in the front end for fear of punishment by the algorithm or demonetization. I love anytime Mars and Saturn are in a friendly relationship with each other. This is called a sextile. And the reason I like it is I have a very strong placement here because I am Saturnian. I'm ruled by Saturn on my ascendant, and I have Mars as a ruler of my Aries sun. That makes me really attentive to whatever Saturn and Mars are doing in the real-time sky. So Saturn is in the sign of Aries, and it's not a sign where he's comfortable. We call it a sign of detriment. In this case, a kind of debility or detriment is called a fall. That's because he's exalted in Libra across the way, which belongs to Venus, and he's fallen in the territory of Aries that belongs to Mars. And often for good reason, because Mars is like reckless, courageous, impetuous, daredevil, youthful energy, and Saturn is the old wise man under his best circumstances. Otherwise, he's a stoic, grumpy old codger. But whatever he is, he's not fast and he's not racing on a sprint level. He's your guy wobbling along on the cane, or in the tortoise and the hare. He's definitely not the hare. He's a slow moving turtle. So he's ill at ease in this youthful, vibrant, daring, and warlike energy of Aries. And if anything, you could say it's like somebody threw the general into the front lines of the battlefield. He's never even held a gun in his hand. He's like, what am I doing here? So I don't think that it's all that bad, but just be aware that Saturn is trying to contain and restrain himself as he normally would. Well, there's a lot of fire and cardinality and impulse in Aries. So as he is going to actually flow, or actually Mars will flow to him this week ahead. Mars is a faster moving planet. That's going to be a time in which there is a kind of work together with what you have. This guy will say, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, use what you have at hand. It's sort of like if you're going to go off to a a camping event and you forget your Bic lighter and you can't light the fire, well, you're going to go find some dry tinder and maybe rub a rock and create a spark or whatever they do, because I don't know how to do that. So the downfall of Saturn's condition means work with what you have, and work with what you have using Martian energy. And Martian energy in the sign of Gemini is mental energy. It's your ideas, it's your thoughts, it's your intellect, it's your mind. And it is, in a way, using your mind to work with what you have to create something lasting and of value, and something that goes the distance, Saturn. And Mars is that ambition, the drive, the willpower, and the actions and the choosing and decisions you make to accomplish what you want to do. I mean, sometimes it's very simple. It could be a week starting on Tuesday where the general vibe is like, I got a choice. I'm going to sit down here and get this thing done that I need to do, or I'm going to not do it. That's what the choice is. Mars is the chooser. And where he sits in the Jekyll and Hyde nature of Gemini, the angel and the devil, the mortal and the immortal twin, you could go for the easy route, or you could go for the difficult route. And Saturn asks you to choose the difficult one. Do the thing that is difficult. By doing the difficult thing, you will succeed. By choosing the easy route, you will not. So when you come to like the vibe of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even into Saturday, this is what you need to pay attention to. The impulse would be to duck the difficult actions or decisions or choices. And you might have a lot of mentality around it, because Mars in Gemini might be the pro-con list from hell, where you're literally vacillating back and forth about what you want or don't want. Think about President Donald Trump. He's born with his sun in Gemini. It's on and it's off. It's hot and it's cold. It's yes and it's no. It's like back and forth like a yo-yo, which direction something might be going in. So, the sign of Gemini can be very fickle and changeable. And we have now Mars, who's Mr. I make a choice and I stick with it, and this is the way we're going. I think of Mars as like a timeline splitter. If we want to think of the quantum field or the multiverse, and we want to think of something in superposition, in a state of indeterminacy, right? It hasn't quite happened. The wave function hasn't collapsed. Well, then Mars is that guy, because what collapses the directional field is the decision we make. Right? Yes or no. Binary. So there's a quality here. And of course, quantum physics is not binary. It's got a third element called both at once, which is why quantum computing will be a big deal, because it's not binary. It's got three elements. Sorry to diatribe there. But I kind of like this for making difficult choices and decisions, or taking actions that are challenging, but you know that you're going to get the long gain from it. The long gain is the success that you have because you took the difficult choice and not the easy road. Okay, so there's a quote. I like this one. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And that's this week ahead. And that actually is Colin Powell's quote, according to AI. So yeah, a dream doesn't just magically appear. It requires sweat, determination, and hard work. Mars is telling me make a decision, take an action, and Saturn says work hard, and that will be next week. I'm recording for you on July the 7th, and hopefully I have my audio problems fixed by then. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm going to bring the sky up and show it to you. Don't forget, if you like all signs videos, which every one of my videos is, I don't just generally talk about the world or generally talk about astrology. I dive into your sign. If that is something that you enjoy and it gives you value, then your liking and subscribing or sharing with friends and family, or your comments are so very welcome. It does feed the beast we call the algorithm and give it some love. One more thing, with Venus squaring Uranus on Monday, right? It's like this turbulent shock and awe vibe regarding money and love stories. This is an archetypal generality. But I do have a colleague of mine. Her name is Sue. Sue Loves Astrology. She's a professional astrologer. She's one of my teaching assistants in my Sky Reader class, which starts this fall. Check it out below. And she is going to be doing a 2-part series on Venus love codes in the chart. And she's a great astrologer and she's a great teacher. So if you're interested in that, you get 33% off because you're listening to me here on YouTube. Check it down below and check her course out as well. It's on 2 Sundays, like the 18th and the is it the 18th and the 26th? There will be replays available. And that reminds me, come to Sky Reader this fall. It's my 7th season teaching. I'd love to have you in class. We have guest teachers. We have least 4 or 5. You can learn medical astrology on the fly from the guest teachers. We have a Facebook and Discord group. I have teaching assistants helping me, etc. So, and moderators for the classes. So in the live classes, and we have all kinds of stuff, Q&As and all of that. So it runs for 7 weeks, starts the third weekend of September, and you have a discount code of a massive amount of money off, like 40% off by the end of July. It's called my super early bird discount. So check it out. Now I'm going to show you the sky. Hopefully that wasn't too much sales pitch. I always want to sound like a sales pitch unit. This is the sky. And what you're noticing in the sky, this is, a picture of the heavens, is you're going to notice that as the week is going to begin, this is Tuesday, just behind us, all right, Venus at 5 degrees and Uranus at 4. This happened mostly on Monday. You might have felt it Sunday, maybe even a little bit Saturday. It may still trickle into Tuesday. It's a surprise of some kind. It's an unexpected development. Is it a shock? I don't know. Is it just unexpected? Who knows? But it's love and money stories in general with Venus, who's love, money, peace, and harmony. Uranus is shock and awe. Now, because we have an ongoing conflict in the Middle East, and you can see that Mars, the god of war, is here. And you also see Saturn sitting pretty well close to nation of Iran's natal sun. This can definitely be about issues in those war zones, but also could be shock and awe in war zones connected to Virgo, right? Virgo is where Venus is. She's in a condition of fall. This is the south node of loss. There's asteroid America. So there's also Virgo nations and Virgo people. And so the leader of Virgo midheaven, I said that country's name. Damn it. The Lebanon and Mexico are Virgo rising countries. So, okay, you want to look around for strong Virgo placements where these situations also bring surprises to the collective. And in your own life, you're going to have to parse your chart. Go back and watch last week's video where I talk a little bit more about this dynamic here. It's very complicated, very fated. We've got the nodal bendings as well by Uranus. So it kind of has a timeline splitter here. You might fundamentally Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday into this week ahead, be looking at major life changes regarding your love and money agendas. And yet they may surprise or shock you. You may feel a little bit blindsided. Let me know in the comments for any of you if anything like that happened for you. But with the nodes of fate involved, this is the path of destiny or fate. This is your soul's agenda. You chose it, right? You're part of a bigger picture. Your soul made a plan. You're executing the plan here. Then when we go forward, we'll start to see Mars in the sign of Gemini, and you'll notice that he's starting to create a 3-degree separation from Saturn behind him. Saturn is in the more powerful applying position. Mars is leaving a conjunction with him. And that's called a synodic cycle. And in fact, the Mars-Saturn conjunction is the beginning of a cycle that lasts for 2 whole years. But rather than go into the whole cycle, just experience this week anyway as, okay, I've got some significant things I need to get done in my life. And they are definitely connected to your Aries sky where Saturn is putting a scaffold up, right? Like builders doing a scaffold for some kind of like window cleaning in your building on the outside. And so the building of a scaffold of structure of some importance in the fire zone and cardinal zone of your Aries whole sign house as a Scorpio rising. Of course, that's your 6th. We'll change the chart to Aries in a minute. There's like fierce grind here, okay? It's grinding because Saturn doesn't want to have to be in Aries. And Aries is about swift and aggressive energy. So I think you might feel a little bit like, okay, I'm going to plug away at something Tuesday through to say even Saturday. And Mars is going to give you the directionality and the ideas and the decisions and action plans to go ahead and do the grinding. Watch it go forward. And we'll see that by we get to Saturday, it's exact, but it's building. And I notice that Mars gives us the action, decision plans and changes and new directions. He does that as he builds up to the actual conjunction. So he's usually more in the 3 or 4 days before, maybe a day after, all the way through to Sunday. You'll see this well that we have Salacia with Saturn. Salacia is a scandal or gossipy story, and we can all have that in our own lives where something happens and everyone's talking about us, or we're in the middle of scandalous storylines. Of course, the world can definitely have a mercurial, this is Mercury's house, Gemini, right? Information and news, scandal story being released. That doesn't shock me, but with retrograde Mercury, it's stuff from the past. It's not new stories, it's stories that we've all heard. I think that the Erica Kirk / Charlie Kirk trial may be happening next week or this week. I'm recording and into next week, and there may be shocking stories coming out of legal agendas connected to court and trial cases, and that may be part of what we see next week as well. Charlie Kirk had his son in Libra, and the scandal is right across from where his son would have been up here, and his moon as well. So scandals connected to Charlie Kirk would surprise me with salacious Saturn in the oppositional position, and everything coming into a very interesting square to Mercury saying, I'm bringing the past back, and it's going to be a bit shocking and scandalous, but hang in there. You'll have to deal with this information overload. How does it feel to receive a shock about a court case? Would be an example for the world, for the collective. That is another story here. Right now, for some reason, by the way, in world astrology, we're having asteroid Atlantis tracking with Mars. So stories of lost civilizations, stories of buried things under the pyramid, stories of things that have been hidden from view or lost to the mists of time. So there can be discoveries around those things coming through this week ahead as well. That wouldn't be unusual under Atlantis Mars storylines. And what else can I say? The Sphinx is about to join this part of the sky the week after this one, after the 20th, and we'll have Atlantis and the Sphinx together. There were some Italian scientists doing investigations, and Uranus in Gemini is like the mad scientist. Also shocks around digital technologies, quantum computing, AI and software developments, unexpected surprises there in this week ahead. So we're talking again, this week ahead is around the 12th or 13th of the month to the 20th of the month. All right, let's also bring your sign into the story. And at the end of this video, for my members only, I'm going to talk a little bit more freely about some of the war things that I think are likely to happen under this kind of a sky. I had already warned people in a video last week, a week before, that the Mars-Uranus conjunction on July 4th could lead to a unexpected or shocking event, like a pow-pow event. I use the keyword that because you can't say the other words here. And that was the Coney Island mass pow-powing event. And that was actually a smaller event. It could have been something much, much larger based on the sky. So it's almost like hopefully a homeopathic remedy for a smaller version of what could have been much more calamitous. However, we still have that energy playing out pretty tightly here. We still have Mars in the sign of Gemini. And this is a 2-year story anyway, baked into the United States Sibley chart. But we have Mars in Gemini until August the 11th. And so even till August 11th, unexpected, shocking stories that can involve violence may occur. Okay, and conflict, war, attacks, etc. Sorry, guys, but that's the story. And if you want to watch my other video about the U.S. chart, the Sibley birthday chart, you'll see me talking about how that could definitely be a problem in the next year, where the United States could find its open enemies quite aggressive toward it. All right, now we're going to go through the week ahead. Please remember, this is general bell curve astrology. This is not a personal natal reading. This is astrology based on a whole sign, a whole cohort of people. If you need to know more, you need to book a reading with someone. I'm going to put a referral page on my website. I haven't gotten to it. I've been so busy, but then you'll know who I think is worthy of my referral, and you can go visit them for a reading. But right now, I'm no longer seeing new clients. All right. So, and when I said there's a lot of flow, that's because all the outer planets are flowing, and we're getting that Barbault Basket that gets pretty intense on the 19th or 20th to the 22nd. I've got like a dozen videos out on the Barbault Basket, so go check that out as well. Okay, so let's talk about how you can move forward with that perseverance pays sextile Saturn Mars energy. How do you listen for your sun, moon, and rising sign? People ask me all of the time. Let me explain it to you Very briefly, you know, when you were born, you were a spirit and you entered into the zone of matter, and you are playing here, hopefully, and having somewhat of a good time. And that's your sun energy. Your sun is your divine spark, it is your spiritual essence. It comes here from beyond space and time. It's ostensibly lived many different lives. And this aspect of you, this eternal nature, is one of the flavors of God or the divine or the creator or source. And you think about the 12 signs and the 12 sun signs, we have elements earth, air, water, and fire. And we have modalities fixed, cardinal, and mutable. You have a quality of the divine. You are an article of the universe, a tiny little spark of what is the one thing. And so when you think about your sun sign and you listen for that in astrology, you're thinking about your purpose for being incarnated. It often aligns you with career, aligns you with a sense of meaning. Your sun has to come into reality in a form called a body. That is your ascendant. Your ascendant is your character in the simulation of life. You could think of the sun as the movie actor, and you can think of the role in the movie that the actor is playing as your ascendant. So think about how your solar light infuses the character you're here to become and play. And that character is often cemented into being in the first 7 years of life. It's how you look, it's your personality traits and characteristics, it's how people respond to you, it's your mask and persona, and it's the vehicle for your spirit to play. And in many ways, it could be called a spacesuit. But I think this is a simulation. This ain't based reality. So in the simulation of life, like in the movie The Matrix, Neo is playing a character who works in an office in an unreal environment. And so your real self is somewhere else, but is playing this game. Now, when you think about your ascendant, you're going to notice that it's also very circumstantially accurate in terms of predictive value. That's because it's the beginning of the chart. It exists in the first house. It is what we call the helmsman energy, the steering wheel of your life. And often this part of the chart is going to be very sensitive to planetary transits and Time Lord tools. So you'll find it to listen in astrology for your ascendant or your rising sign is useful. To cast your chart in whole sign houses, look below and get my free video tutorial. And you'll need to know a birth time in order to find your ascendant. Now, when you're listening for your moon sign is how you feel and how you think about your life. You know, I think my partner's mean and not nice to me, and I feel really in love with my child or something. So your feelings are right here, and the solar plexus. Your thinkings are up here, and that thinking, feeling complex can be condensed into the word your mind. Your moon is your mind. It means many other things because the sun can represent dad, father figures, and moon, mother and mother figures. But it's also your response to life, your subjective well-being, half full, half empty cup. Your moon is how you emotionally respond and think and respond, because every feeling is connected by a thought, and every thought has a feeling. Trust me on that one. So you listen to the moon sign when you want to hear how you respond to life in that emotional mental capacity. And it will often connect to matters of home. I always joke, every time a moon is eclipsed in my chart, my Aries moon, I always have a move within months. In fact, I just moved to a new place that you're seeing here from the March eclipse of my moon. So ultimately speaking, your moon is sensitive to domicile and where you live as well. So hopefully that helps you listen for all three. When we do the moon and sun, we just rotate the chart to the first house. So if you have an Aries moon like I do, we just spin the wheel. So we're as if Aries is an ascendant, but we talk about it as if it's an ascendant, and we call it your moon in Aries and derived houses. Same with the sun. We rotate the sun to the ascendant. All right. Whew, hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and go ahead and enjoy the rest of the video where I do the all signs portion. Now that you know what you're listening for, at least you'll know what to expect. Let us get going, and let's start with the Aries, sun, moon, and rising people. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. I am praying this audio is okay. What we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about how there is your own technical stance towards reality. At this juncture, you are stoic and determined, and you are looking at life through the lens of what's realistic and practical. That's Saturn in your sign till April of 28, end of the month of April of 2028. And therefore, your way of looking at life is to grind, to dig in, to be perseverant, not to give up. And with that energy, this is how you see Mars. Mars is moving through your third house, and you're like pushing him to get it done and to take the necessary action. Third house is for, like, I'm Aries Sun, it's your social media world. It's your teaching, writing, marketing, selling, content creation world. And this is me grinding here, right? But Mars is also the choices we make. And there's something coming up this week where you're trying to make a harmonious, easy choice that allows for reality and action to give you positive results. It's the way you are moving forward in a steadfast, determined way, but in a way that has a bit of flow and a little bit of ease. This could also be an opportunity for a trip. If you're going to plan a trip, book a trip, or take a trip under the sky, you could do that. And there may be some determination around the way you practically arrange that travel. I mean, you're really going to say, hey, is this a realistic time to travel, or is this trip something I could do? But the shocking surprise of Uranus could lead you to think that, well, there's a sudden opportunity for a trip. I'm going to take it, and you're going to do a practical way of booking or organizing it. You might also want to take a break. Sometimes when Saturn and Mars connect each other, it's like taking a break, out to lunch, that energy, right? Some of you may be propelled to feel like you need to take a break. Now, taking a break can be the best medicine sometimes, but the break will be in your third house activities. Writing, communicating, selling, teaching, marketing, and social media content creation, or take a break from a sibling, or take a break from some travel agenda that seems overwhelming. That's another option. One thing about this is it is your house of siblings, and there may be some interfacing with siblings in general, especially the one younger than you, in a way that has something to do with being productive and being cooperative together. All right. I would suggest that you think about how you can also calm down the push and pull you might experience this week ahead between an urge to never give up and a desire to get it all done. It's like there's a dynamic that wants to flow. If it feels like all you're doing is pushing hard, then you're missing the value of what can be ease. I almost want to say here, it's for you guys as Aries, it's work smart, not hard. Okay. Think of it that way, because you'll get superior results if you do. If you're a Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign, the sky tells me that you're going to feel that there is a real powerful drive to make money this week ahead, to push into it, to activate the desire to possess more income, especially with Mars's basic trine to Pluto. And this will be about your career ambitions as well. And so you're kind of like, I want to make more money. I got to get more ambitious about my career. I want to figure out how to really get the momentum in my money, career, and work area. However, because Mars is also in that sextile to Saturn in your 12th house, there is desire for solitude and quietude, introspection, and alone time. And there's a desire for you to be able to go inward. At the same time, you might be feeling a compromising other desire or push to really hustle for your finances. There is a compromise here. It's something like, how can you be, in a more practical way, applying yourself to work with a balance to some kind of quietude or inner life contemplation and peace. Now, the 12th house has a lot to do with digital income and borderless revenue, money made abroad from people in foreign lands, or you work for a foreign company. And in that case, this can also just be making major turning point decisions that feel easy in how you wish to apply that kind of money to your life. And maybe with Mercury in the third house, it's a new social media platform. You're setting up a new website. You're putting a new booking calendar together. And if you don't have a digital life, then you just might be making money or being offered an opportunity to make money, but it requires you move or travel or interface with people who live quite far away from where you are. So these are people at a distance, right, that are giving you these financial surprising opportunities this week ahead. So Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. The energy of this Mars sextile to Saturn is important. I already covered in last week's video the Venus-Uranus surprise. Okay, so I don't really want to cover it again, but it's angular for you. So it's worth noting that very foundational things may unexpectedly erupt for you early in this week ahead where you didn't see it coming, especially if it's people from your childhood or people from your home land or hometown, or connections to people and places in your family when you grew up, childhood stories, maybe siblings even. And a square to Uranus. So there's some unexpected surprise. It doesn't have to be bad. Venus rules your house of good fortune. You could win a lottery, for goodness sakes, but you're coming with a bit of a shock and awe surprise coming through Sunday, Monday. And then as we go forward, you're going to find the energy of your choices, your decisions are also surprising you. You are making choices and having decisions to go in directions that might surprise your very own self. And in this way that there's a sextile to Saturn, it also will pay off in the long run in your career gains, your influence levels. If you're looking for celebrity, your celebrity levels, and things to do with your social groups and networks. Now, it depends on how you live your life. You may be making some decisions regarding paring down your social time with groups of people and maybe choosing to be more alone in order to do things that are important to you. And this week will show you that being by yourself, working on something important, doing what you want, is going to be very much a payoff for you. On the other hand, Saturn up here can be about the realistic vision or goals that you have for your career, or the gains of your career, the success and the accomplishments, the long range vision that you have. And Saturn is very Yoda sometimes, and he's very practical and he's very sage-like. And he can't rush. He doesn't want to rush. He likes time. It's his friend. And he's patient. And in that regard, the energy of Mars is never patient. It's restless. So there is a push and pull between your restlessness and your eagerness and your desire to push forward boldly with an idea, with a communications project, with your very own life force energy. If you're a Virgo, Gemini rising, Gemini sun with your career path per se, and moon with your emotional fortitude to push forward. And yet Saturn is like, take it easy, be incremental. These career plans and goals and visions that you may have for your life, they're going to take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. That's the vibe here. So be more patient while you choose to move forward in ways that are actionable, but not overwhelming or leading to any kind of burnout, really. And this does have a lot of energy around Mercury's focus on your money. He's retrograding. He rules what Mars is up to. So there's some ways that your money really plays a role here as well. Like you might be thinking, retrograde Mercury, you could pull back on certain earnings paths or earnings agendas or income sources in order to give yourself balance. That's the vibration here. So let me know how it goes for you, Geminis. I have a progressed sun, so I can somewhat relate. All right, if you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, the first thing you're going to notice going on in this week ahead, and if you hear me lisping, it's just the recording video problems. I make comments about, do I need to see a dentist? No, this is this problem with the mic and with Riverside. All right, so if you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, I kind of want to mention to you that you are dealing with Mercury retrograde, and this week is no exception. He does not turn direct until like July 24th or so. So just know that you might be more of a nostalgic, reminiscing, looking back, looking at the past, looking about what things you've done and what things you might want to do based on your past endeavors. So there's a lot of backward thinking and moving backward in your mind here. And so and you might be compelled to get in touch as well from people from your past as Mercury's retrograding through your sign. But Mercury does rule Mars in the 12th house, and Mars in the 12th house is the big story this week. Sure, you got a little surprise around 3rd house and 12th house things. That could be an unexpected travel opportunity or sibling development. But the main story is this perseverant, Tuesday through to Sunday ability for you to take action in measured ways and decisions in practical and realistic, pragmatic ways that are going to lead to greater success and gains in your life. And this is energy that is applying to your career. That's where Saturn is. Now, Saturn up there can grind, right? He's got the climb to the top of the mountain, what's that little train that could, that book? That's what Saturn does anyway in the 10th house, let alone in detriment. His detriment means he might be the little train that could, but he's almost burning out. He's got no more engine fuel there. So be careful. And you're under that influence till April of 28. And you're going to learn about measured paces in ambitious career directions over the next 2 years until, April 28. And as that's ongoing, okay, Mars is saying we want to propel ourselves forward in our career ambitions in the following ways. First of all, take some time off, because Mars in the 12th house likes to travel to ashrams or to go abroad or to focus his energy and his mental capacity with Uranus into ingenuity and invention through your quiet alone time, as if you could go off to the writer's retreat or the solitude tent or the ashram. And yet, you're supposed to be grinding at your career. This could literally be take a break. Take a break from something in your career ambition. It doesn't have to be long. It could just be take a break this week off. Take the week off. If there's anything holding you back because you are your own saboteur and maybe you struggle not to trip yourself up in any way, Mars is helping you change the pattern in shocking and sudden ways. Well, at the same time, being able to lean into your career path or your purpose path with a better pacing. Now, if you're retired, you're still doing something in the world, guys. Unless you're in a isolation chamber, the 10th house is how your world around you sees you doing what you're doing, whatever you're doing. So have a measured pace and a perseverant pace in your retirement, right? If you're playing golf 10 days a week, which there aren't, then you've got the wrong approach. Take it back a notch, slow it down a bit, find out what pace works for you and the gardening club. Don't get overly agitated about your activities in your retirement. Go inward, be creative inwardly, take some time, and even take a break if you need. Okay, I encourage taking a break is a good thing for you as well. Let's see how the Shure mic picks up the sound of water being slurped. Alrighty. By the way, the Shure mic is fine. It's the Riverside settings that I can't get right. All right, so Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. First thing you need to pay attention to is Jupiter in your sign. I mean, you've got to love it. He's there for a year. You are lucky, so damn lucky. Watch for some weight gain. Muscle gain is good. Belly girth can increase for pregnancies. You may have children, man or woman. And so, long story short, Jupiter blesses you and protects you. That's true until July of 27. So, yay you. And of course, the Barbault Basket is here, but I've done endless videos on the Barbault Basket. So go find some of my old videos, and I'll put some in the description box below, I guess. And the energy about your Mars-Saturn combination, it speaks to me of something about you have a week ahead, minus the surprise that may come through Sunday, Monday. Could be a money surprise, Leos. Kaboom. Connected to work and work gains, or money surprises in relationship to a sibling. Maybe Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or other things. I covered a bit of that already in the last week's video. But more importantly, what I'm thinking for you is this long Tuesday to Sunday vibe where you've got this ambitious Mars in the house of one's long-range goals and dreams. You've got some breakthroughs here, breakthrough actions, breakthrough decisions, breakthrough ideas, and it's all hooked up to Saturn's diligent perseverance. And it's to align with your purpose, because Saturn in the 9th house says, what is my dharmic path? What is the life of meaning? Why am I even here? And so for you to say, why am I really here? What am I really here to do? I think sometimes Saturn looks like a guide. He looks like the preacher, the pastor, the coach, the guidance counselor, the therapist. So look for a guide this week. I mean, they come to you. You're not looking for them. They look for you. Look for your spiritual guide this week in real life, not in the dead realms, to direct you directly towards what it is you're supposed to choose in a breakthrough way around your long-range goals, plans, and dreams for your life. I mean, this is the gains of the 10th house. This is where you get more celebrity. You win an Academy Award. You get, the satisfaction. You get the rewards of the career. And there's a breakthrough here. Okay, there's a breakthrough. But some of the breakthroughs, someone gave you some guidance, or this week ahead, you found yourself in possession of more spiritual knowledge somehow that allowed for you to make this breakthrough in your decisions and actions to affect your career in a more positive way. And on a practical note, maybe this is human resources department giving you a call and they're going to set you up at the new job. So it could even just be outside of your choosing and your control. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. The energy of the week, we have a bit of a surprise Monday and Tuesday where unexpected flashes of lightning hit you in your career sector. Maybe you're quitting your job, it's quitting you, you get a new job. Then we move past that Tuesday through to Saturday. And that's the real driver of this video today. We have Saturn, for the first time in 30 years in Aries, and you got this flow to Mars, and Mars is like, we need to make some decisions and take some actions, and we need to apply our willpower to our career. And that means that we will gain money from it. What kind of money? Unearned income, chunky money. That can be like a commission check. That can be a royalty check. That could be money coming from like a bonus pay of some kind. Something to do with career, like could be a severance package, can yield a kind of payout, a one-time payout energy this week ahead. Uranus and Mars together means surprises or unexpected developments in your public reputation as well. So there could be something about who you are in the eyes of the world that is going to suddenly, surprisingly change. That's been true since July 4th with that conjunction. And what Saturn wants to do is apply gentle pressure here to Mars to make a difference in the bottom line financially. You might suddenly decide to incorporate your life. Maybe you have your own business. Saturn rules your entrepreneurship, and you're going to, oh my God, I need to incorporate and save money on my taxes. Who knows? And Mercury rules all of this stuff that's happening with Mars in your 10th house, and he wants you to have career gains that are satisfying you, but connected to your past. And when I say connected to your past, there are things you've done before in your career that may be very valid to how you want to do them again. New things can show up, but Mercury's retrograde. So what kinds of career options have you had in the past, or what kind of friends from your past could come forward this week ahead to surprise you with a career offer, a career opportunity, a career connection? I see career change for you, but I also see lasting solidity in your finances, especially the money that you're able to retire on one day. This could be difficulty with a father figure who's elderly, and an unexpected surprise in the life of that father figure that leads to you having a financial reward. Okay, this is where you might get news of that or more developments around those kinds of themes during this next week, Tuesday through to Sunday. With the South Node finishing up a long stay, 18 months in your sign since January of 2025, you are coming out of a very turbulent 18 months with eclipses making your world go topsy-turvy. I bet you that you found career, home, and relationship stuff very discombobulating all through 25 until now. In fact, by the end of July, you can praise the good Lord that the South Node is leaving your sign and the North Node is leaving the house of marriage, and you're going to have a different perspective on life. So hang in there. That's the good news. And by the way, get a haircut or change your wardrobe or make yourself beautiful. You are attractive, charismatic, and persuasive. If you want to ask for a new job, do it now. Venus is on your side. She is in your sign, especially for Virgo rising. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, the first thing you have to pay attention to is that you are looking at your planetary lord this week hitting that South Node. It happened last week, but you're still feeling it into this week. So it's about surrender, release, and letting go of where you have addiction, self-undoing bad habits and patterns, or from letting go of a friend who lives in a far off land. Maybe they're ill even in a hospital, but there's that story that started last week and blends through to this week. And, on Sunday and then into Monday, and Monday is the 13th, you might end up with an unexpected surprise, a shock of some kind. And you may even notice it coming into play Saturday, and it might even show up on Tuesday, Saturday behind us, Tuesday ahead of us. And that may impact you more dramatically than the Mars thing does. That's because Venus is your ruler. And so you might find that unexpected surprise connected to foreign people, foreign lands, and foreign shores, including trips and planning for trips. Mercury retrograde says an older trip may be kiboshed. Some plans for travel may fall apart. For example, that would be the kind of surprise you might see. Now, the Mars thing that starts out Tuesday through to Sunday vis-a-vis Uranus is literally opening up a channel to your relationship, your business partners, and your audience, marketplace, and clients. Saturn is giving you steadfast gains here, but also opening up doors where you're meeting elder people maybe, or Saturnian figures like the wise woman, the wise man, who also are bold and pioneering, and they may be involved in the industries of Neptune, photography, glamour, filmmaking, Hollywood, photography, arts, the arts. These kinds of people can enter your life over the next 13 years. But with Saturn until the end of till April of 28. Okay, so these are other people. This is your marriage partner or your spouse or your long-term committed love partner. Saturn rules your home and where you live. And so, first of all, make specific attempts in a measured pace to make and decide in a reasonable and pragmatic way what you want to accomplish when it comes to travel for business, travel for or with a relationship partner, or matters connected to your home life and the word international. These are going to be drawing your attention. And I think that Mars has the great decider. With Uranus, the great awakener, you'll have a bit of surprise involved in the unexpected change of direction. Saturn is going to be having more power, right? He's applying toward Mars. He's behind Mars. He's pushing Mars. And Mars is just like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to take that trip, whatever. This could also be an unexpected surprise regarding a legal settlement in a business dealing or a marriage separation agreement. But whatever this is, you're going to find that Saturn is taking you into a slower mode through the other person in your life who needs you to do slow mode. Could be a spouse. Somebody else here has that slower pace, pragmatic pace that you're having to adjust for. Okay? And that will help determine what decisions you make. I think some of you are going to have travel plans completely change, right? Or cancel or rearrange themselves in unexpected ways this week ahead. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. You've got the shock and awe, maybe a little bit of surprise coming Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday with Venus squaring Uranus, and he's at the bendings of the nodes. So there's a kind of fated, destined, unexpected thing going down. Covered it a bit more in my video last Monday. And the energy of that would be like, okay, you had a vision or goal or plan or a dream, and it may have just kind of unexpectedly gone in a different direction, especially if it has anything to do with your career gains and also compensation financially. The other energy would have been maybe major changes in your life connected to a sibling one older. Now, that coming through maybe on the weekend into Monday the 13th, maybe even a trickle into the 14th. Then on the 14th of the month, your Lord, the planetary Lord of your sign, Mars, is going to activate Saturn. Saturn is the guy who wants to go slow, and Mars doesn't give a heck about going slow because he's Mr. Speedy Gonzalez. And where the challenge will be this week and the good gifts will be is how you pace yourself in your work or in your health matters. And so, number one, slow down in your work schedule. Be cautious with your health this week ahead. You might just come up with inflammation, a fever, in your case, a headache or a migraine, but whatever bodily symptoms you're going to get this week ahead, and if you do get any, it's a warning bell in a gentle way. It's just like, this is a grind. People with Saturn for 3 years, and this will be over April of 28, work too hard. They do. And sometimes they get foisted into positions of responsibility and power, especially with Saturn fallen, that they don't want. Like, you have to take over someone else's sales territory. You have double the load, or you got promoted to a desk job that you hate. So there's a thing about your job that's already not quite working for you. And then you end up with a Mars condition. So Tuesday through to Sunday, factors to do with money, especially important for you. Like this can be like cashing in your 401k, or this can be inheritance money or property sale money, just some kind of money. And the other side of it is your work, and trying to find the perfect balance between taking actions and decisions that are based on monetary need and maybe some unexpected developments in your money story. At the same time, you're pacing yourself well for better health. Please do that. Okay, that's going to be so important for you. Mercury is retrograde and he rules what Mars is up to. And he's in the 9th house of distant travel, but it's also the house of childbirth or grandchildren. And maybe some of you are dealing with situations with those people in your life as well, especially, I just whistled and that was me, especially grandchildren. Okay, especially pay attention to your grandchildren. There may be something about a grandchild and things that the grandchild had to deal with in their own health, and your attention is being brought to support the grandchild in some way, and maybe even financially, which means probably for some of you supporting the parent. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. The energy of the week has a bit of a shock and awe coming through Sunday and then Monday the 6th, the 13th, and maybe even Tuesday the 14th with a surprise square between goddess money and love in your career house. And she is hooking up with Uranus in your 7th house. An unexpected turn of events regarding your relationship to a significant partner that spills out into the public eye, like a divorce announcement. A potential surprise in your career path where you have to let go of something and it involves legal contracts and business dealings. Though this is a very short-lived surprise, so pay attention. Then on Tuesday through until about almost Sunday, there's a long relationship here building up between Mars and Saturn. And Saturn is realism. Saturn is practicality, and he's patient. And he's in the house of joy and fun and pleasure, as well as creativity. Mars is in the house of connected long-term love. If you're with somebody already, there may be a push-pull between, an agenda your partner has that they're ambitious and excited about, and how it's dragging down the romantic and intimate time together. That would be an easy example, and you're called to let it happen in a more wise and patient way. Like, don't push your partner to jump into high fun and play when they're working hard at something here. And if it's not about the other person, then maybe you're making life-changing decisions about your relationship to a romantic partner. Okay, Saturn in the house of romantic partnership until April of 2026 makes it hard. It makes it difficult. Same thing about major choices about your children. And, what they're going through might be hard. And there's decision-making energy in the sky. And a lot of the choices are out of your control, really. Because Mars is not in your sign. He's in the sign of other people who are doing the choosing. From the perspective of your romantic partner and your children, there may be desires by either of those to change where they live, to move to a new city or town. And maybe that's all it is. And you're watching them go through that process, and you're kind of maybe backstopping them with some wisdom or guidance yourself. With Jupiter in your 9th house, your grandchildren factor, right? He'll be there for a year, it usually produces new grandchildren. And there may be major decisions in the life of one of your children regarding fertility or pregnancy, and a feeling of hardship. So you're going to be maybe drawn into someone else's narrative. If you're an artist, a performer, a creative, or an entrepreneur, you need to adjust for time and patience about how you are pushing into the marketplace, pushing into your audience, something that you might be quite excited about, Mars. But Saturn says it's got to be at a reasonable narrative pace, right? We can't just throw 100 emails into the email system and bombard them with an email a day. That's not going to work. So it's about a pacing issue, not a content issue here for you. And lastly, hey, the 5th house is where you're supposed to find your own pleasure, your own fun, your own enthusiastic joy, why you get out of bed in the morning. Now, Saturn is going to make it feel difficult, until April 28th, but you can also use him here to plumb the depths of your own Yoda energy. Like, what does your wise inner old man or woman say? For example, write a letter to yourself from your 90-year-old, your hypothetical 90-year-old, and ask for the ways you can do it better based on the wisdom of your much older self, especially when it comes to art, creativity, enthusiasm. fun, play, pleasure, and the use of your talents and gifts in this world. Okay. You got a great chart with Jupiter loving you for a year in the 9th house. This is just the small print. No big deal. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. What are you doing, guys? What are you doing? It looks to me a lot like you might be figuring out something to do with where you live this week, but let's just stop, drop, and roll for a minute and talk about Venus. Venus squares Uranus, kind of like Saturday, Sunday, Monday into like even Tuesday. You'll feel it maybe. And we're talking about Tuesday, the 14th of July. And with a square energy, a surprise is coming through. It could be pleasant. It could be unpleasant. Venus is trying her best in your 9th house to bring something to you that's positive. It could be a book publishing contract. It could be birth of a grandchild, news that you're going to be a grandparent. And Mercury says news is coming from someone else in your life, but it's connected to themes in your past. And Mars is trying to move forward. And this shock with Venus is with Uranus, where Mars is. It's kind of like a pivot point. It can be about legal matters and debts. It could be a pivot point that surprises you early in the week regarding your financial obligations connected to a grandchild. It can also be about things going on in your 6th house, which has to do with your health. And Mars here often brings like fevers or inflammation. This is the sign of air. It can involve your lungs, and it can also involve your arms and hands. So there's something about that part of the chart that says, well, be careful, because starting on July 4th and to August the 7th, you could injure yourself. You could injure yourself. But the shock and awe or the surprise on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it may be about 9th house stories. And so that can be a grandchild, that can be a guide, advisor, or mentor. It could also be about a love romantic relationship as well, and some unexpected developments. Venus does rule your house of winning money. Mars is connected to the windfalls. There's an off chance that some of you might have a win of some kind on the financial front from gambling, betting, or speculating. Now, Mars wants you to move forward without inflammation, heat, and injury this week ahead. And he's also giving a push energy to the energy of our sky to push forward with Saturnian speed. What is Saturnian speed? Slow, patient, incremental. You might want to rent a property this week. You might have a sudden opportunity for a fantastic property rental, or even a home purchase, for all I know, but it can be both. You may have an unexpected opportunity to procure a pet. Saturn says an old pet, like a rescue pet. I'm not knowing what you're doing here, but it's going to be the measured pace that wins the day, not the fast moving, reckless pace that Mars would rather do. So be realistic, pragmatic, and patient when it comes to rentals and pets, moving your home, and changing where you live, because there's a lot of that going on. And Mercury would bring you information or news from the past that allows for those things to happen from people you've known in the past. And that can include a former spouse or long-term love partner. And it could involve a sibling 3 older or 3 younger. I say that to you in every video because your 7th house is very active right now. All right. Thanks, Capricorns. All right. Now we have Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. I am one of you. Welcome to our sky. Some surprises coming with Venus Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, giving us a little jolt here. And the jolt may also be coming to do, we talked about it last week with the South Node connection, to do with a destined fated change in your life. And it may connect to your monetary path ahead. Now, good news is that she's just like amplituding up the North Node, her exaltation from the 8th house, but she's also in a releasing, surrendering position with the South Node too. The kind of money she might help you release in a shocking way could be anything. It could be money that you have through investments or royalty income or ad revenue. And yet she is also hooked up to Uranus in the 5th house of winning money, speculation, and gambling. There's a possibility, therefore, you might come into an unexpected financial win on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right through to the 14th. There may be some unexpected shocking developments coming through the life of a child. It could involve fertility, pregnancy, or just major surprises and changes in the life of one of your children as well. And in your case, also of any of your grandchildren. When I look at well, I'm expecting a grandchild, so the surprise would be the baby's coming much earlier than expected. All right, that would be an example. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about is how you're experiencing Mars and Saturn. Saturn is the lord of your sign, so you always rely on him. You lean on him. He leans on you. You're working together. Everything about being an Aquarian, you're like Cappies are past oriented. You're future oriented. Time is important to you, and you look forward to things, and you look at the long game forward. And Saturn is in a condition of difficulty. He's in your third house, which is wonderfully sextiles your sun, moon, and rising here in Aquarius, but he's actually not a challenging place for him, the sign of Aries. Therefore, your impatience is your enemy on things to do with your writing, your teaching, your communicating, your marketing, selling. I could pull my hair out because I'm trying to get Riverside to work, and I'm getting a lot of lispy sound that isn't really here. And I think that if you think about how I would be responding, I'm impatient, right? I can't take it anymore. I want to throw Riverside down the toilet, so to speak, but I paid for it. So this is the impatience that we're experiencing, even with our siblings, even with travel or travel opportunities. There's just this kind of like Debbie Downer, impatient Saturn. Good news, he still sextiles us, so it's still going to all be good for us nonetheless, no matter what. It's good for us. And then Mars is ambitious and forward moving and excited about your creativity, your art, your entrepreneurship, about your sex and romantic life, if you have one. And he's like super into everything there. He's like, this is where I want to be. This is so much fun. I'm having a blast and I'm so excited. And I'm so excited, I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. And that's him. He's full of exuberance. He's competitive. Nothing more competitive than Mars in the fifth house of competitive events that we do, like game nights. Anyone want to have a game night? This is robust competition. Passion. Anyway, Saturn, like, slow down. Take it easy. Don't be so excited. Make it happen in a calmer and more realistic manner. Don't go overboard here. And I feel that. So maybe you guys do too. When it comes to romantic life, if there's something going on there, this week ahead, Tuesday through Sunday, could be to take a slower pace in your sex or romantic life regarding third house matters, which would be communication, but also travel, shorter distances, and a romantic getaway could show up for you this week ahead. You might see the doors of a romantic getaway opening up for you. With Mercury retrograde, you've been there before. It's not a new destination. You've traveled to that place before, but it would be a leisure or fun or romantic type of getaway that is trying to happen this week ahead, and will probably be available, if it's going to show up, Wednesday through to Saturday. You'll be more aware of the opportunity. And the retrograde Mercury definitely says it's a rental property. More likely, you're not like going off to a hotel. You could rent a room in a hotel. So let's just say it's that kind of getaway, not going to stay with your family of origin or something like that. All right, so that's what we got. And we continue on to the last sign. And I hope this audio is somewhat serviceable. This is the Pisces sun, moon, and rising people. And what we have here is we have the energy of a shocking start to the week. Maybe a little bit. I covered more of that last week's video on the week ahead, but something maybe going on Sunday, Monday that feels like you didn't see it coming, and it may be with your marriage partner or business partner or a client or audience member where Venus is sitting, but it will impact your home life and the domestic environment in which you live. And if you're having to things going on with selling or buying homes, escrows and mortgages and financing of property, the legal part of it suddenly has a surprise. And you'll find that again early on in the week, maybe Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday, the 14th. Then the major story is, of course, we end up with that beautiful work hard pays off, right? Energy or discipline, perseverance has its payouts. When you're talking about financing and money and earnings and resources, where Saturn is traveling relative to your domestic and private activities. If you work on the internet with Uranus in your fourth house, you could be very successful as work from home. And Mercury retrograde in the house of entrepreneurship. This looks a lot like some of you work from home types, no matter what you're doing in your home, are really reassessing how to do this at a pace that's going to be perfectly measured for you. If it's too slow, you want to speed it up. If it's too fast, you want to slow it down. It's about money pacing and work from home pacing for some of you. Now, This could also be an opportunity regarding property in a very literal manner. Jupiter is, for instance, blowing up your house of rentals. You may have an opportunity to make a change with where you live, to begin to consider a new way to go, like moving somewhere. You may not do it this week ahead, but Tuesday through Sunday, something may open up. And Saturn just says be realistic on the financial front. If a glorious property opportunity moves up for a rental property, for example, which is very likely under your kind of sky, is it realistic on the financial front for you to do that? Or you might be thinking of renting a room in your home or renting out your own property. So decisions need to be factored in with real estate, property, and home from a sort of wise old man or woman perspective, right? Nothing radical, nothing hurried, nothing unrealistic can happen here under the sky. This may involve your children. The Mercury retrograde is hooked into this, and ask me, anything about your kids, man. They're always coming back from the past, but they may come back from the past and there may be choices you're making in your life regarding money and children. And the money and children has to do with property, land, real estate, and resources. They can't pay the rent. They can't afford the house they want to buy. You may be asked to get into a story Tuesday and through to Sunday about your kids if you have them, or about your romantic love partner if you have one. And your agenda has to be about sober realism mixed with long-term vision in your money house. If you were being in a generous mood, which Pisces can do, you would give someone money this week without thinking. But you need to think of you as well. You need to think of what your sustainability would be around financial matters and where you live and your home. Okay, thanks for listening, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. A pet. I almost forgot it. Pet. You could get a pet out of this. You could certainly get a pet out of this. There's no doubt about it. All right, so I'm going to now move on, and I'm going to do the members only section. In the members only section, we spend about 10 minutes. I chatter on. If you want to join my members only here on YouTube, and Patreon gets this extended version every Monday or Sunday or Monday. If you want to join me over on Patreon, you'll get this too. My membership community there. And I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes about the war situation and how it might play out this week based on the sky. Lunatic Astrology.